one, compound interest. Oh, no, I'm sorry, compound averages. Oh, I'm sorry, compound average. Now I know what the Spanish teacher went through yesterday. And understand this, children. Write this in big letters. Rarely can you find the average of averages. Triple exclamation point. I suppose I should write this down. Write down this problem. Because, the 120-mile trip to San Diego took 3 hours. The 120-mile trip to Santiago, how do you spell that? Diago, took how long did I say? Nobody's listening. Don't worry, I'll find it. Took 3 hours. The trip back took 2 hours. What was Sylvester's average speed? I hope this works. You have an answer?
Would it be 50 miles per hour?
I hope not, so you can be my test person. Jaden says 50 mph. I don't know. I haven't done this problem, Jaden, and I'm not going to think that. I just have to watch you, caution you at this because what you first think usually isn't the right answer, but maybe you got it right if you did it all the way out. Here's the deal, and this is maybe what Jaden was thinking. I don't know. Okay, first of all, on the way there, if you go 120 miles in 3 hours, how fast you going? 40 mph, right? On the way back, same distance, but it only took 2 hours. Correct? So on the way back, it was 60 miles per hour. Now Jaden, in his infinite wisdom, said, well, the average of those two numbers is 50 miles per hour. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's wrong. And I'm glad you said that because you're my test pilot. And the reason for that is Jaden did just what I said. Rarely can you take averages of averages. This was his average speed there. This was his average speed back. And Jaden just took the average of 2 averages. And don't do that. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. You need to always, anytime you're looking at compound averages, which this is, you need to find total and divide it by total again. In other words, this. If you went 120 miles there and 120 miles back, how many total miles was that? Somebody can do that math. Anybody besides me? 120 is 240 miles he went total, right? What was his total time? If it took 3 hours there and 2 hours back, 5 hours. Do I get 50 if I take the total and divide it by the total? If you take 240 and divide it by 5, you get, I don't know, what is it, 4, 20, 48. His actual average speed was 48 miles per hour, not 50 miles per hour. So you have to very much be careful with that when you're asked to do that. It's a little like me saying, you know, your average in class, you know, you took 10 quiz grades and you got a 90%, and then on one test grade you got 100%, and you saying that your average is 95%. It doesn't work that way. You can't take averages of averages, mostly because this had 2 different times with it. okay? If their times would have been the same, I think you could have done that. But their distances would have been different. Probably would have worked different. Another example of that would be this. Let me see if I can find one. Because we have to do another one. Bob earns $12 an hour helping a painter and $15 an hour helping a carpenter. Bob earns $12 helping painter and $15 helping carpenter. What is his average salary for the week if he helps paint for 10 hours and carpet? If he paints for 10 hours and what's it called when you help a carpenter? And carpenters for 20 hours, what's his average pay? Okay. You cannot just take the average of these two numbers. It would work if you worked the same amount of hours for each one. If you did 10 and 10, then you're going to average about that. But this, because he works more at the higher rate, the average is going to be swayed that way. So again, you have to do total money earned over total hours. Which, well, first of all, let's do total hours. How many total hours did he work? He worked 10 hours and 20 hours, which is 50 hours. And how much total did he make? Well, if he earned 10 hours at $12 an hour, that's $120. If he worked 20 hours at $15 an hour, that's $300. So his total amount of money made was $420. So what was his average pay? You divide that out. 5 goes into 42. Can anybody do that math?
10 plus 20 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. What if I make another mistake? Thank you for stopping me in the middle of all that. So 3 goes into 42, which is nicer because it does go in there. Why did I say 50? Oh, I did 14. Yeah, $14 an hour. Thank you for stopping me before I made a complete fool of myself. I think it was about 80% there. And then one more example. Do we have time? We do have time. And that is the same. Write down this example. After 3 games of bowling, Gabe's average score was 88. After 3 games, Gabe averaged 88 pins knocked down. Put a capital G there before Michelle comes in here. What score does he need to average in the next 2 games? What score in the next 2 games does he have to average to get, what am I looking for? His average to 90. Average to 90. Understand the question? Basically, it said he's bowling 5 games. In the first 3 games, he averaged 88 pins a game. Then he's going to bowl 2 more games, and after that, he wants his total average to be 90. How would I go about doing that? Knowing that you need to find total over total. So the question you ask yourself is, for 5 games, you know he's doing 5 total games, because we're doing pins per game, so we know we have a total of 5 games. How many total pins would he have to knock down to get an average of 90 in 5 games? No, that's hard. To average 90, how many total pins, Elijah? Okay, he's got to get 450 pins. Why? Because 450 divided by 5 is 90. That's what he has to get. Well, how many pins does he already have? He had 3 games where he averaged 88, so he has 88 times 3 is what? 24, 2, did I do something wrong? He has 264, correct? How many more pins would he need then? 264, he wants 450, he gets 4, 204, is that my answer? The question is, what does his average have to be in the next 2 games to get that? Did I do that right? What did I do wrong? It's 264. Is it really? Oh, honestly, I should just quit right now. 6, so this is 6 and this is what? 86? 186? Sorry about that. So, 186, does that mean each game he's got to bowl 186? No, he's got 2 games to get that. What does he have to average for 2 games? Divided by 2, and it is, yeah, he's got to get 93 games and 93 pin average. I should just punt. Maybe I will. Because of my incompetency. We're gonna stop there. I'm just